Yo, GamerNemy here, and today we're talking more Steve Fox, our boy. So just for some context, I do main Steve, but I do play other characters. So the reason why I'm doing so much Steve content right now is because I'm currently playing the character in terms of like rank and just with friends. I'm currently Garyu, which is I think just below the purple rank, Smite Ruler, Flame Ruler. So I have a pretty good idea of how Steve works currently, as in right now. And the thing about ranked right now is the game is new, so like even the best top players are still in like middle to lower ranks, right? So there are some pretty sweaty games. So believe me when I say I understand how Steve works in this game. So with that said, I want to talk about what buffs Steve could use in this game. Now, does he actually need buffs? That is very, very debatable. Granted, the game is early, right? It's just about 3 weeks old, right? So this might be too soon, but like overall, we can tell just how good characters are in terms of like people feedback, top level player comments, and all that stuff. So that said, I want to talk about what I think about Steve and how they could improve him or like what changes he would get. So my initial thoughts on Steve right now is he is a very good character. I won't say a very strong character or a very low tier character. He is good, right? He still feels as good as he is or as he was in Tekken 7. He is weaker in Tekken 8, right? Granted, I will admit that, but he still feels like a good character, and that's my verdict, right? If you think I think Steve is bad, I do not think he's a bad character. He is good, like he's good enough. Okay, so now let's take the obvious out of the way, right? Lionheart. Lionheart stance needs to be buffed or it needs to be fixed, right? There is no way you can take away his down back 3-2. You take the knockdown away, but you give him a stance, right? He's supposed to get a guaranteed mix-up after this, right? After back 1-2, right? Sway 1-2. He's supposed to get a guaranteed mix. That's the whole idea behind this stance, but like it just does not work because like I said in my previous video, Power Crush from the opponent beats every single option out of this stance, right? If you're +7 in your opponent's face, Power Crush will beat every single option. This should not be the case. I don't think this was intended. If it was, then man, they done fucked up, bro. Like, it's either you give him back his knockdown or fix this damn stance, right? I should not be putting my opponent in +7 mix-up, and yet I'm the one getting mixed, right? The fact that he has a Power Crush option that can beat all my options, right? It's ridiculous, and it needs addressing. This I'll admit, yes, I'll defend this stance to the point that it's not as bad as everyone makes it seem to be. It's not that bad, but it's not great. It does need buffs, it needs fixing. So either you increase the frame data and make it so that Lionheart 1 cannot be challenged, cannot be interrupted, right? Make it good. Or give him a grab so that we can challenge the Power Crushes, right? Grabs beat Power Crush, or give him a law to beat Power Crush as well. So those are my options, or those are the buffs I think Steve would need to make Lionheart actually great. Now, Lionheart 1 is kind of underwhelming, if I'm being honest. I wish it did something on counter hit. So if we're in hit, right, we're going to Lionheart, does nothing. On counter hit, does nothing as well, right? So I wish it did something on counter hit, maybe a knockdown, like a defended Dark 1, right? Something like that. But it feels very underwhelming, so that would be great. Now, secondly, I feel as though Steve's identity has been taken away from him, right? He was literally called the counter-punching paragon, right? In his trailer, like his trailer slogan, on his trailer name. But like, honestly, there are characters in this game that seem to do a better job than Steve, right? Brian, for example. Brian's counter-hit game is insane in this game, even Lee. I think these two actually offer more counter-hit options than actually Steve in this game, which I feel should not be the case. He's literally called the counter-punching paragon. He's built around back one, counter-hit games. That's Steve's identity, but they've taken so much away from him that it feels really, really bad, man. It just feels weird, right? So stuff like Outstanding 2. Dude, like how can you take away Outstanding 2 counter-hit? That just hurts, man. Please bring it back. There was no reason to take this away from him. I don't understand why, it sucks. And to the point that a lot of Steve's launches have been nerfed. Talked about this in my last video. right? You don't really get launched with Steve anymore. It's so hard now, right? When you face a very good player, you won't find yourself launching your opponent as often as you think you would, unless you get your timing right with back one, right? They took away his back two, they took away his counter hit down forward two, right? Which sucks, like it's so bad. So they've taken so much identity away from him in terms of counter hit game, and it kind of sucks. It's honestly, it's not great. I think Sway, his old, no, it's Sway 2-1, not 1-2. Yeah, Sway 2-1 taken away from him as well, which sucks. Flicker back 1-1-2 was changed, right? This one, it's now a screw and safe. It used to launch on counter hit the last hit, which is basically his Flicker 2. Flicker 2 is still in the game though, right? But like from the jabs, right? This was so good back in Tekken 7, taken away from him. So just please give him back his identity. If you're gonna take away launchers from Steve, right? Down forward 2, back 2, up forward 4, like no one actually used this move, but for some reason Namco said fuck you and took it away from us, right? So if you're gonna nerf all his launchers, then make his counter hit game better, make it good. Don't take both of those things away from him. Like it's just so hard. When you face a very good player, you can tell that you're working really, really hard with this character, right? Like when a character like Feng is in your face, you know, Dragonov, these characters hit you so hard that when you're at a life deficit, it just feels as though you're struggling, bro. You're struggling. Now, I'm not saying Steve is bad, don't get me wrong, but like you have to work with Steve. Like you have to work, right? It just feels like ever since Tekken 7 Season 2, they've been hitting Steve so much in terms of just nerfs, bro. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? So that's one thing again I would bring back, you know, bring back some counter hits. Bring this back, right? There was no need. This combo was hard. Not many people could land this, and it does at home. People can step it now, so why take it away from him, all right? So bring back some of his counter hit game if you're taking away his nerfs, right? I mean his launchers. If you take away his launchers, give him back his counter hit game. Thirdly, this one is personal. This one, I was so salty about this one. Shiro combo is gone. You can't Shiro combo anymore, right? And this hurts because even his unblockable is gone from extended dash forward 2. It's gone, right? Now this makes sense because they gave him a new hit mechanic from extended dash. So this makes a lot of sense, but like, this hit is not scary, right? High level players are rarely using this, but I love this hit mechanic, but it's so predictable when you're in hits, right? That you can mix them up with like a mid, but this is like minus 14, right? So the ideal mix up is extended dash 1, right? But now Shiro combo is gone, so you're using your hit for like a 40 damage mix up, and it just doesn't seem as rewarding. So like, why take away his Shiro combo? It was so hard, not many people could land it. I mean, Steve Main, and I used to land this combo like 2 out of 5 times, right? Even me and Hera used to drop this combo regularly. I think the most consistent pro player is Lohai when it comes to the Shiro combo, but overall, it hurts, man. This one hurts really hard. I really wish I'd bring it back, right? It would improve his hit game so much, right? Boom, mix up, are you gonna duck, right? If you're gonna duck, I'm gonna go mid, you're gonna stay standing, right? You're about to guess for your life in terms of the hit mechanic. And you actually break this throw. So, you know, it's not as strong as many hit mechanics like Dragonov, for example, but it's still good. But like, oh man, it sucks. So I would want this back, right? So one other buff I would like from Steve is just a little bit more damage on his lows. His lows do so little damage, and he doesn't really have good lows, honestly. His best low is quarter circle forward 2, but even this low is risky because it's launch punishable, right? Everyone can launch, I think it's like minus 18 on block, right? Other lows he has, all these are very slow, they're very reactable, all reactable. His best lows are down 1 and down 2, and Peekaboo down 1. These are his best lows, but they just poke, so they do very little damage. Now I get the idea of Steve is he's a very safe character and good keeper with counter hit tools. So they don't want to make his lows do a lot of damage because it will make him like really, really good. But like, come on, 11 and 12, that's too low. At least 13 damage could be decent, guys. Like, come on. So These are a few of the buffs I would want from Steve. Now, I would be asking for too much if I spoke about, other things, like back to being a launcher again. I get the idea of why they nerfed it, but like, if you're gonna nerf his launchers, it make his counter hit game really good. That's one thing I would want, but like, maybe I'm asking for too much. But right now, he still feels good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining that he's a bad character. And amongst all the characters I'm playing, I have clicked with Steve the most. He's a character I'm feeling like. I've played Raven, I've played Lars, I've played Leroy. These are the characters I'm maining, but like amongst these characters, I'm loving Steve the most, right? Because he's fun, man. Like the consoles, right? He just flows. I like the way you go around his offense. He's a very unique character, having sways instead of kicks. I love this character. He's my boy, and I think it does need a bit of love. Now, like I said, guys, it's really early. The game is not even 1 month old yet, so I trust Harada, I trust Namco team, they know what they're doing. We haven't even had our first big balance patch, so I know we are starting from the bottom. As Steve mains, we're starting from the bottom or like the middle of the barrel, so it's only up from here, right? No complaints about Steve, so it's a good thing. We're only heading up from here, and man, I can't wait. I can't wait. So yeah, that's one thing I want to talk about, guys. I do think he needs some love. He can be improved, but like I say, he's still a strong character. You can still do good with him. Like I haven't struggled, bro. Like except for like tough matchups, like Feng has always been hard for Steve. Yoshi can flash all his cancels. Yeah, those characters. Apart from that, I'm having a good time. I'm doing good against like top players in ranked. I will upload some matches, but overall, yeah, he's still good. I do love my boy, and I will keep playing him. So anyway, guys, if you made it this far, please, thank you so much. It means a lot as a small YouTuber. It'd be hard out here. It'd be sweaty. So if you're new, please do subscribe. More Steve content coming. I'm about to release the Steve Bible, a huge tutorial on our boy. So look forward to that. And yeah, drop a like button as well. And may the frame data be ever in your favor. Play some Steve, my boys. GG.